India has lifted 140 million people out of multi-dimensional poverty from 2015-16 to 2019-21, according to a report by the United Nations Development Programme. The report compares the above figure with a period between 2005-6 to 2015-16, when 275 million people were pulled out of poverty. In line with this, the incidence of poverty, the proportion of people who live in multidimensional poverty, fell from 55.1% in 2005-16 to 16.4% in 2019-21. The Multidimensional Poverty Index takes into account a wide range of parameters spanning health, education, and standard of living as against a poverty index by World Bank, which measures income level to gauge poverty levels. The UNDP report noted that about 16.4% of India's population live in poverty and about 4.2% of the population live in severe poverty, and about 18.7% of people are vulnerable to poverty. Unsurprisingly, the rural disparities are stark, as 21.2% people in rural areas are poor compared with just 5.5% in urban areas. Interestingly, India reduced poverty at a faster pace from 2015-16 to 2019-21, at an average rate of 11.9% a year, compared with 8.1% from 2005-2006 to 2015-2016. However, when the base poverty levels are lower, the relative poverty reduction is easier to achieve. The effects of COVID-19 pandemic on the poverty numbers cannot be assessed because nearly two-thirds of data from the 2019-2021 health survey for the country were collected before the pandemic. Going by the World Bank's measure of poverty by income, about 56 million Indians may have plunged into extreme poverty in 2020 as a result of the pandemic. The World Bank estimated extreme poverty based on a purchasing power parity of $2.15. Despite this, the UN report said the results are striking, showing a significant reduction in all 10 multidimensional poverty index deprivations among poor people. For instance, in health, the proportion of people who are deprived from nutrition fell from 44.3% in 2005-06 to 21.1% in 2015-16 to 11.8% in 2019-21. Similarly, in education, people who are deprived of certain years of schooling dropped from 11.6% in 2015-16 to 7.7% in 2019-21. Experts say it all depends on how you define multidimensional poverty to get a sense of whether India has fared better in the last few years. For instance, even though the number of certain years completed in school by children has improved over the years, as seen in the UNDP report, the quality of education still lags. According to a National Achievement Survey of 2021, there is an average learning level of 59% in grade 3, 42% in grade 8, and 36% in grade 10. This indicates a decline in learning levels with an increase in grade level. Further, the COVID-led schools closure must have worsened learning across the education system, along with erosion in gains in enrollment and school completion. According to the World Bank, 5 months of school closures due to COVID would result in an immediate loss of 0.6 years of schooling adjusted for quality, bringing the effective learning that a student can achieve down from 7.9 years to 7.3 years. Similarly, despite an improvement in child mortality from 2005, child stunting and wasting is still worse in India. According to the National Family Health Survey of 2019-21, the child wasting rate of children worsened from 15% in 2012-16 period to 19.3% in 2019-2021, and it is one of the highest in the world. Stunting is when a child's height is lower for the appropriate age, and wasting is when a child's weight is too low for the height. Let's hear from NC Saxena, former Secretary of Planning Commission.
If you look at the UNDP or Oxford definition, they give a lot of weightage to a number of years spent in school and the children's attendance there, not to quality of education. Similarly, they gave importance to sanitation, water, and also physical infrastructure. So therefore, because of these factors, India has certainly done well, as I said, on physical infrastructure, supply of water, supply of sanitation, number of people using toilets has increased, roads have improved, electricity has improved, number of villages connected has improved, and these are all part of the Oxford indices. Plus, schooling has improved. But as regards uh, uh, calorie intake, as regards nutrition, malnutrition with children, India has not done well. That is why the other international report on hunger shows India in very poor light.
Experts also say India has done well over the past few years in the physical infrastructure indicators captured in a UN report. Deprivations in sanitation, cooking fuel, and housing fell the most from 2015, 2016 to 2019, 2021.
Well, definitely India has done tangibly better in recent years. And most of it is due to the fact that some of the policy orientation has been better targeted. In other words, in those areas where poverty reduction is relatively faster, such as with reference to poorer areas, rural areas, poverty of children, female-headed households, and so on. In all of these cases, there has been a faster rate of reduction in these 5 years. Well, in both cases, our performance is satisfactory, but much ground is still to be covered. Because we have not, either in education or in health, we have not paid enough attention to some critical dimensions. In the case of education, for example, when we test these children in terms of their understanding, in-depth understanding of any subject, they often are found to be failing. In the case of health also, there is a lot of struggle at the poorer end of households.
Despite progress on some multidimensional poverty indicators in recent years, India still has by far the largest number of poor people at 228 million. The impact of COVID might have only worsened the scenario, and policymakers have their task cut out in eliminating poverty as a whole.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.